What's up guys, welcome to episode 5 of The Blueprint. Sorry this week's episode was a little bit later than usual. It was extra challenging this week, but no excuses, we made it work. We wanted to make sure that we were 100% happy and proud of the episode before it comes out. We didn't want to jeopardize the quality just because we were under a time constraint. So in today's episode, we have a push workout. It was the first push session back ever since lockdown has eased in our end. I'll walk you through everything that I did. It was a shorter workout than what we would typically do because we didn't have that much time, but we still got the workout done. And I think you guys will enjoy it. So after the workout, we'll take you through our protein cheesecake recipe. Just a disclaimer, the recipe isn't ours. We found it on the Flexible Dieting Lifestyle YouTube page. I highly recommend this page because it's full of recipes where you can eat all the foods that you're used to and all the foods that you enjoy, but it's a macro-friendly version. And this is exactly what I'm trying to preach on my channel. Just cook all the foods you love, but learning how to count it and incorporating it part of your diet. How many of you can actually say that a cheesecake is part of your diet to lose weight? And to date, I've lost about 6 kilos and we've been eating stuff like cheesecake. The types of food that you eat isn't as important as the quantity and the values of the food. And at the end, we will take you through our progress, comparing week 1 versus week 4, just so you can see visually what our progress is and realistically what you can expect for your diet as well. So sit back, relax, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll see you guys at the end. Today I'll be taking you guys through one of our push workouts. This is our first push workout since lockdown has eased up in our area. We're taking it moderately paced today, not pushing too hard because it is our first full push session and we're not used to doing that much hypertrophy and that much volume. So the idea today is just to get the joints moving, get the muscles working under volume again. And I usually like to start off with shoulder raises for 2 reasons. One, I find that my lateral raises is lacking. And secondly, I have a shoulder impingement that I've been dealing with for the the better half of 10 years, and if I don't warm it up, I find that it gets aggravated, especially when I'm starting to pile on a lot of volume. Once I'm deep into a training block, it's not as prominent, but I always need to warm up my shoulders. So in this one, we're doing around 15 to 20 reps, maybe 50% of the weight that you will normally do, just to really focus on the contraction of the lateral head and just getting the blood flow to the shoulders. The most important part here, guys, is to not cheat. You need to make sure that there's absolutely no momentum when you're doing a raise. So when you're doing a lateral raise, it's very important that your elbow is the highest point of your arm. And you can see here when Hang's doing her lateral raise, it's actually her hands and her wrists, which means she's kind of externally rotating as she's doing the raise. And that's something that she'll need to work on. It's good that we've recorded it so we can keep track of the progress. So the first compound exercise is by far my favorite for shoulders, which is the overhead shoulder press. And with this exercise, I find that I can really focus on the technique and the form and not using any momentum, not jumping with the knees, trying to get the weight up. It's just slow, controlled movements. And when I start to struggle, like on this rep, I actually start to slow down and really focus and concentrate on the muscles that are involved in exerting the force upwards. So that will be my front delts and my triceps, and really trying to focus on that technique, because guys, at the end of the day, it's quality over quantity. The amount of reps you do is not important, it's the quality. And so on my working sets, I dialed back down to 50 because obviously 60 was too heavy for me to complete a full set. I'm just focusing on the full range of motion, the bar below my chin, and then taking a deep breath at the top, bracing my core, and then descending the weight under control, and then launching it back up, but making sure that there is no momentum or any jerking of your body. Everything stays quite consistent, and really focusing on contracting the lateral and the medial head of your deltoid. So that's the side and the front delts. You can see here, Hang's doing the same thing. She's been building her overhead press for the last year now, and you can see she has very good shoulder development. It's actually an exercise that she really enjoys, and I remember last year she wasn't even able to do the bar, and now she's able to pull out a few reps of it, and it's actually quite strong given her body weight. And you can see that she's maintained strict form on the last one. She's got a nice controlled eccentric just to really burn out that muscle. Compound exercise number 2 is incline dumbbell press. This is the first time doing dumbbell presses in a couple months, and you can see on my first one, my right side really struggled to get up because of that shoulder impingement. That's just something I have to deal with. And you can see the weight, obviously, relatively speaking, isn't heavy, but it's still very challenging for me to get up on the first one. It's when my shoulder lacks the stability, but it's something that I want to strengthen and get better at. Once I'm back into the swing of doing push-pull legs again with high volume, my shoulder issues usually subside. It's always just coming back into a training block with some downtime. So during lockdown, we've been focusing on the bench press, which doesn't require as much stabilizing muscles as doing the dumbbell press. So that's something that we obviously want to focus on, but it's going to take some time for us to get back into the swing of things. And you can see here, Hang does it with very good form, arched back. Her chest is faced upwards. It's the highest point of her body, and as she goes down, she gets the full stretch. Her back is still arched and then contracts at the top. So that's absolutely perfect form. Alright, so this is my first working set of 3. It was only 30 kilos. This is actually a lot less than what I typically do, but because it is my first session back, I don't want to push too hard because I know how my shoulder is, and I know that it can get really aggravated if I'm being too impatient with increasing the weight. So first session back, taking it easy, but still relatively heavy. So I'm still going to my failure, but I would be in a rep range that's slightly higher, just so it prevents injury. And especially when you haven't trained this in a couple of months, you'll need to get your nervous system used to it again. So it might take you a few sessions to really get back into the groove of a particular movement. And guys, it's put your ego outside the door when you get into the gym. It's about quality. So I'd much prefer doing lighter weight, relatively speaking, but with absolutely perfect form. And now our first accessory, we did shoulder raises. This is similar to the first one. However, we're going a little bit heavier on this and we're really focusing on that technique. So my mental cues is I'm trying to push my shoulder down and make sure that my shoulder doesn't rise as my arm rises, because if your shoulder starts to rise, you'll be contracting a lot of your traps. Trying to keep your shoulder blades down, shoulders down, and extending the weight as far from your body as possible. A lot of people like to have a bend in the elbow. That's perfectly fine. It's whatever is comfortable for you. When I'm going lighter weight, I'd actually have my arms straight. The further the weight is away from your body, the longer the moment arm, which means that it will require more force at that joint to move that muscle. And you can see here on my left one, to critique my own form, my left form wasn't as good as the right side. That's something I'm trying to work on, but you can see after the first set, I'm completely taxed. You see here, Hang is doing the same thing. Oddly enough, she actually does less weight on this one than on the first one. She has funny elbows that act up sometimes, so obviously we're just gonna have to work around that and use a weight that's not gonna aggravate her elbows. All right, so moving on to our next accessory. So this is kind of a half compound, half accessory, because technically it is a compound, but it is an accessory movement as well. On these ones, I don't like to go in quotes heavy. This is something I would typically do 15 to 20 reps, really focusing on the stretch and the contraction. One thing I want to get into your mind is that each rep is not just an up movement or a down movement. It's both the eccentric and the concentric part, which means the up and the down. You want to focus on stretching the muscle, putting a load on the muscle in its stretched position, which is at the bottom of this movement, and then putting a load at the top of the movement, which is the contraction. You'll need both the eccentric and the concentric part of the movement to get the most value out of the exercise. And you can see here, Hang is doing with absolutely perfect form. Arched back, her chest is up, shoulder blades down, and she's pushing with her chest. You can see that there's no momentum. The tempo is smooth. That's how you want to do all your exercises. Always keep it smooth. So moving on to our last accessory movement, which is a tricep rope pushdown. The only thing I wanted to bring your attention to is the angle of my arm from the shoulder to the elbow. You can see that my elbow is in front of my shoulder. And the reason why you want this is if your elbow was closer or closer in line with your body, the plane of resistance at the peak stretch, which is the top of the movement, is actually less than at the bottom because the weight is actually getting closer to your body. But when you keep your elbow in front of your shoulder at peak stretch, you're at peak resistance. It's when the weight is the furthest away from your body. So that way your resistance curve doesn't reduce as you're going back up. It actually gets more difficult. So you're getting tension throughout the whole movement. At the bottom, you get full contraction, and at the top, you get full stretch. And this exercise is one of the most common exercises I see people at the gym do incorrectly, and they start involving other muscles like the shoulder, or they're pushing down but closer to their body. And although it will allow you to push more weight, you're not technically getting the most metabolic stress on the particular muscles that you're working. And your triceps are actually made up of 3 heads. So depending on the angle will determine how you're working out that muscle as well. And that's it for today's workout, guys. Let me know down below if you enjoyed this type of workout and commentary. I think in the future episodes, I'll actually feature a particular movement showing you how to perform that correctly with proper technique and how you can progressively overload as well. So let me know down below if that's something that you're interested in.
Hi guys, today we'll be showing you how to make a proteins cheesecake, and these are all the ingredients we need for today. So here's the protein powder that we'll be using. Here's a pudding powder and just butter, some biscuits, the funfetti, low fat cream cheese, light cream cheese, and Greek yogurt. For the base, we'll be using 130 grams of biscuit. We'll just need to crush it up. What's the machine called that they can just chuck it in? A blender?
A blender, yeah.
If you guys have a blender at home, you can just chuck in the blender and blend it, but we'll just punch our one. So just have it like that. We'll be adding in 100 grams of Greek yogurt and 30 grams of butter and 1 scoop of protein into our cake base. Add in 1 scoop of protein and then we mix. We're gonna put this into a smaller bowl and then cover it and then chuck it in the freezer until it's not sticky anymore. Really close into my face. Here's the bowl. Excuse me. Excuse me. We'll be adding 230 grams of Greek yogurt. You guys can choose plain yogurt, but we like vanilla yogurt, so we went with vanilla yogurt today. 220 grams of cream cheese, some sweetener. We forgot to mention before, we also need 2 eggs, and yeah, so 2 whole eggs in here as well. Yeah. Oh. Also add 2 scoops of protein into here as well. We'll bring it over here to mix because we'll be using this. Come. Now we're ready to mix. To record this bit, please. So good. Alright.
Have you washed those hands?
Yeah.
Are you COVID safe?
Yeah, I washed it. We like ours a bit sweet, so we'll be adding 1 more sweetener. And once you're done mixing, add in some funfetti as well and just mix it up. Now we'll check to see how our base is going. So it's still a bit soft, a bit sticky. We'll leave it in for a bit longer. We'll move on to make the icing. Put this into the fridge to cool down. Oh. I also forgot sugar. Alright, for our icing sugar, we'll need powdered sugar. I forgot to add it to the list of ingredients before, but we'll need 22 grams of icing sugar, 12 grams of the pudding, and 1 sweetener, and 60 grams of Greek yogurt, and 1 scoop of protein. And now we mix. So guys, you guys can check out the consistency of our icing. We like our stick like this, but if you guys like it a bit runnier, you guys can add in some water to it. I like this is good. Are you doing the dishes later?
No way.
No jokes. Alright, now we'll be checking out base. Alright, it should be pretty good. We'll spray our baking tray with a bit of oil so it doesn't stick later on. We'll be baking this in a mini oven over here. You guys can come over. We'll put it at 400 for 10 minutes.
11 minutes later.
We'll take our filling out. We'll pour this in. And now we will place this back into the mini oven for around 20 to 25 minutes and we're done. We'll have it on at around 350 degrees and for about 20 to 25 minutes. After this is ready, we'll put it into the fridge overnight And that's it. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, it's been 12 hours, so we'll take the cake out now and let's have a look. Wow. Looking good. And then I'll grab the icing as well. There's our cake, and here's our icing, and now we'll just put it on. Oh no!
What happened there?
Oh no! That's alright. Ta-da! Now we'll spread the icing on top. Top this cheesecake with some sprinkles. Guys, I also forgot to mention we didn't use sugar, powdered sugar as well, so 22 grams. Nah, okay. Oh.
Should we use it now?
Oh yeah. Why didn't you tell me?
This is our current progress. So on the left side, you can see Hang, that's her week 1 stats, 54 kilos. Week 4, she's about half a kilo difference. And I know half a kilo doesn't seem like much, but when you actually compare the week 1 and week 4 in the video, you can actually see that she's lost quite a bit of weight, especially around the midsection area. Her abs are starting to come out. You can see her stomach is sticking out a little bit less. Her legs are getting a little bit trimmer. And for Hang, when she diets, she actually starts to lean at her back first. So you can see her back double biceps pose on her right side was a lot more defined than week 1. And you can see that her waist itself has gotten smaller as well. So very happy with our progress. Doesn't actually feel like we're dieting. So sometimes even though the scale doesn't move, doesn't mean you're not burning fat as long as you're consistent. Now for myself, this is about 1.5 kilos difference. I've lost most of my weight around my love handles and my midsection as well. You can see here that my midsection has toned up a little bit. You can start to see my abs come through and my legs have gotten a bit more defined. My arms and shoulders have stayed more or less the same, but all in all, I'm actually pretty happy with our 1 month progress. And like I said, guys, the idea is to lose weight slowly, and the pace in which we're losing weight, I'm actually quite happy with. Yeah, we're on track to hit our goals within the next 12 weeks. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. It was a shorter episode than normal. It was the best that we could do given the time that we had. Just for a bit of background, it takes us 7 to 8 days typically to turn around an episode, and for the last couple of weeks, we've always been behind every couple of days. Initially, the episodes were coming out on Sunday, and then became Monday, and then became Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday, and I'm actually filming the ending part now. So it is hard to balance everything with full-time work, but we're still gonna make it work. Quick update on my competition. I initially thought that it was gonna be on the 20th of September. And before lockdown, I didn't know if the competition was still going ahead, but it didn't matter to me. The competition to me was just a deadline so I can push myself, and I gave myself that deadline, whether the competition was going ahead or not. That's why I started this whole video series. It's just a testament that stop letting things become excuses and why you don't start, just start. And good news, the competition is going ahead, but it's been pushed back 3 weeks. That's actually good news for me, because last episode I was saying I felt like I needed an extra couple weeks just to make sure I'm dialed in, and here it is. Here's the extra couple weeks that I need. And to tie in with my last thought, because it takes us 8 days to turn around an episode, every couple weeks we're going to be almost a week behind, which is where we are right now. So I'll be implementing a week break every 5 episodes, and that would also tie into the 3 extra weeks that I have. So episode 16 would tie into my competition day. So it actually ends up working out in the end. Just gives me a bit of breathing space, and so I can plan it, and that I'm not rushing these episodes. My main concern is quality. I want to make sure the quality is there in every single episode before I release it. So having that 1 week break is definitely going to help me out. Yeah, that's all that's happening on our side. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Again, Hang couldn't be here to say bye because she has work, but I'll make sure you guys see her around in the next episode. Besides that, peace, and guys, remember, achieve championship.